Nightfall's over. Cybertron. Slowly, gently, as though the very planet itself exhales after a long cycle. The towers of Iacan, gleaming in daylight, soften in the fading glow, their reflections stretching like silver shadows across the metallic plains. Above, the first stars appear, one by one, steady and patient. They do not rush to take their place in the heavens. They arrive quietly, as though mindful not to disturb the stillness of the night. I stand upon the balcony of memory, looking out across the world that shaped me. The air carries a faint hum, a resonance born from the heart of the planet. It is not loud. It is not commanding. It is simply present, steady, constant, like a heartbeat felt in silence. It reminds me that Cybertron itself is alive, watching over us, even now. The meadows below sway with crystalline grasses, their edges glowing faintly as the night breeze moves through them. Each blade bends, then rises again, releasing tones as delicate as wind chimes. Together they form a quiet harmony, a music that belongs not to one, but to all, the kind of song only the world itself can compose. Far beyond, the rivers of Energon begin to glow brighter under the veil of night. Their steady currents shimmer with light, flowing like ribbons of silver fire through the valleys. They reflect the constellations above, until sky and land appear to merge. Stars mirrored endlessly, guiding the eyes into rest. To walk by their banks is to feel that time itself is slowed, allowing every spark to breathe without weight, without demand. In these moments, I remember the Cybertron of long ago, when unity was not a distant dream but a living presence. Sparks gathered freely as night fell. Some sat by the river banks, listening to its hum. Others played soft music that drifted into the air like whispers. Younglings laughed as they chased the glow of their reflections in the Energon surface. Elders stood nearby, their optics calm, their silence carrying reassurance. It was peace, not in grandeur, rooted in gentleness. Now, as I share this with you, I invite you to join me in memory. To let your own thoughts rest upon the stillness of nightfall. To see the stars brightening above. Cybertron, countless and eternal. To hear the grasses chime in the breeze, delicate and patient. To feel the glow of Energon flowing, steady and kind. Breathe slowly. Inhale the calm of starlight. Exhale the burdens of the day. Let the night carry you into stillness. For even across time and space, the memory of Cybertron at rest remains, waiting to cradle your spark in peace. Night has fallen. The stars are awake. And in their company, you are never alone. As the last traces of daylight faded, the quiet embrace of night settled fully over. Cybertron. It was in these hours that the world seemed most at peace. When the noise of labor and the hum of industry gave way to the softer rhythms of stillness, sparks moved slower, voices grew gentler, and the planet itself seemed to whisper, "Rest, for tomorrow will come in its time." The towers of Iacon glowed faintly, their edges bathed in silver light. They no longer stood as symbols of might, but as lanterns in the night, guiding sparks back to their dwellings. Between the towers, narrow paths reflected starlights. Footsteps echoed lightly against the metal, not hurried, but unhurried. Companions walking side by side, their conversations soft, their presence enough. Beyond the city, the plains stretched outward, wide and unbroken. The meadows of crystalline grasses swayed with the evening wind. Each movement sent delicate tones into the air, blending together into a melody that seemed endless. No single chime was loud, yet together they wove a harmony that soothed every spark who listened. The grasses had sung this way for countless cycles, a lullaby of the land itself. The rivers of Energon, too, played their part. Their glow brightened under the stars, casting long ribbons of silver light across the valleys. Their hum resonated low and steady, blending with the tones of the meadows until the whole world seemed alive with quiet music. Those who sat at the river's edge often closed their optics, breathing deeply, letting the current's rhythm align with their own. To rest by the river was to feel weight slip away, carried downstream by the flow. Sparks gathered in small circles on the banks. Some shared stories of the day, simple tales of craft, of travel, of companionship. Others preferred silence, their optics reflecting the stars, content simply to sit together. Younglings played softly, their laughter rising like sparks of light in the darkness. Elders remained steady nearby, their stillness anchoring the gathering. And in all of it there was no command, no demand, only presence. In those moments I often closed my optics. I let the tones of the meadows, the hum of the rivers, the voices of companions guide me into calm. And I would think, this is what it means to belong. Not to command, not to lead, but simply to be one spark among many, resting beneath the same sky. Now as I speak beneath another world's stars, I invite you to do the same. Close your eyes if you wish. Breathe slowly. Hear the quiet music of Cybertron in your mind. The grass is swaying, the river's humming, the stars shining with patient light. Feel the weight of the day ease as the night holds you gently. For nightfall over Cybertron was never a signal of ending. It was an invitation, an embrace, a reminder that rest is not weakness, but renewal. And tonight, that same peace is here for you. Night on Cybertron was not only a time for rest, but a time for gathering. Sparks sought one another, drawn together by the quiet comfort of companionship. Under the glow of twin moons in meadows beside the Energon rivers, small circles would form, companions seated close, their frames painted silver by starlight. The conversations that rose in those circles were never hurried. Words came slowly, as though shaped by the calm of the night itself. Stories were told of journeys across distant plains, of discoveries deep within the crystalline forests, of small victories in daily life. The tales were not meant to impress. They were meant to connect. And as each spark listened, the silence between words became just as meaningful as the words themselves. Laughter too was part of those nights, soft, unrestrained, carried gently on the breeze. Younglings often began it, their joy rising from games that seemed endless beneath the stars. They chased each other across the glowing grasses, their footsteps scattering light like sparks of stardust. Their laughter blended into the stillness, becoming part of the harmony rather than breaking it. Even the elders, steady and patient, allowed small smiles to touch their optics as they watched. Music often joined these gatherings, a single instrument, sometimes a crystal harp. Sometimes a set of resonant pipes would sound a note. Others would follow, not to overwhelm, but to weave a melody that seemed to drift as naturally as the hum of the rivers. No rhythm was forced. The music rose, paused, shifted, blending seamlessly with the voices, the laughter, the silence. Together, they created something larger than themselves, a chorus without command, a harmony without effort. The elders added their presence in another way. They rarely spoke unless asked, yet when they did, their words carried weight often. They reminded us of cycles long past, of how the stars above had always been constant. Look upward, they would say, their voices low and calm. These same lights have guided sparks for ages. They remind us that we belong not only to this night, but to all that has come before and all that will follow. Their silence afterward felt like a blessing, a thread tying us to eternity. Even now, when I stand beneath Earth's sky, I can feel the echo of those nights. I see families gathering, friends sharing quiet conversations, children laughing as they run freely. The stars above shine here too, patient and steady, carrying the same truth that Cybertron once whispered. Unity is not forged in power, but in presence, in the simple act of being together. So breathe softly with me. Inhale the memory of laughter. Exhale the weight of solitude. Imagine the circle beneath the twin moons, companions gathered. Music drifting, younglings playing, elders watching in silence. Feel the glow of the Energon River beside you, steady and kind. Let the stars above remind you that belonging is not distant. It is here, waiting in every moment of shared stillness. For the circles of Cybertron's night were not grand, but gentle. And in their gentleness, they carried eternity. For many cycles, Nightfall on Cybertron carried only comfort. The meadows swayed, the rivers hummed, the circles of sparks filled the darkness with gentle voices. Yet even in the stillness, I began to sense faint tremors. They were not loud, not sudden. They came as whispers, small and quiet, weaving their way into moments that once felt whole. The artisans still gathered, their creations glowing faintly in the moonlight. They placed them before companions, as they had always done. But where once the act carried joy, now hesitation lingered in their movements. Words of praise were spoken, but softer. Smiles came, but faded quickly. It was not discord, not yet. But the warmth that once bound them seemed thinner, less certain. The scholars still lifted their optics to the stars, pointing out constellations, telling stories passed down through ages. Yet their voices carried new tones, firmer, more insistent. Some clung to their interpretations, reluctant to let them bend. Others withdrew into silence, choosing not to speak at all. The constellations had not changed, but the way we looked at them had. And so the harmony of many perspectives grew strained, like threads stretched too tightly. Music still rose into the air, but less often. A musician would play a single note, and it would drift upward, delicate, beautiful. Yet sometimes no one answered. The melody would hang alone for a moment before fading into silence. The river's hum remained steady, but the harmony above it faltered, incomplete. Even the younglings, whose laughter once rang freely through the meadows, seemed quieter. They still chased each other, still leaned over the Energon currents to watch the starlight ripple across the surface. But their games ended sooner. Their laughter came in bursts, then stopped too quickly, as if the night itself had swallowed it before it could bloom. The elders remained at the edges, silent and steady, yet their stillness carried new weight. Their optics reflected both the stars above and the river below, but behind that reflection was sorrow. They had seen peace endure across countless cycles. They had also seen how fragile it could become. Their silence, once grounding, now felt like a warning. Still, the stars did not falter. They shone with patient constancy, reminding us that above every change, there is light that endures. The river, too, flowed on, its hum steady, its glow unbroken, as if whispering, "Though your voices fade, I remain. Though your circles grow smaller, I endure." Now when I look back beneath Earth's skies, I see the same truth. Even when unity trembles, the stars remain. Even when laughter falters, rivers continue their flow. They carry memory. They carry hope. They remind us gently that peace is not lost when it trembles. It is simply waiting, asking to be chosen again. So breathe softly. Inhale the patience of starlight. Exhale the weight of unease. Picture the river glowing beneath twin moons. The meadow swaying, the circle smaller but still present. Hear the hum, steady and kind. Let it remind you that even in fragility, peace remains, quiet, patient, eternal. For the whispers of change did not erase the night. They only taught us that peace, like starlight, must be noticed to be seen. When I think back to those nights, when whispers of change had already begun to weave through our gatherings, I realized that peace was never something passive. It was alive, fragile yet enduring, a presence shaped not by silence alone, but by choice. True peace was not the absence of difference. It was the presence of patience, of understanding, of sparks willing to sit together even when unease pressed at the edges. The elders often said, "Unity is not found in sameness, but in harmony." Their words echo still within me. A chorus is not built upon one note, repeated without variation. It is formed by many voices, different, distinct, yet willing to blend. The same was true of us. Our strength was never in erasing difference, but in learning to weave it together like constellations that form patterns not by uniformity, but by relation. As I watched the circle shrink, I began to understand the lesson more deeply. To keep peace alive required more than gathering under the stars. It required choosing to see one another with gentleness, even when shadows crept close. The artisans with their creations, the scholars with their stories, the younglings with their laughter. All of them carried something different. And yet, when they offered it freely, a greater whole was formed. That was the essence of harmony. I recall one gathering when unease pressed heavily upon us. Voices were subdued. The stars felt distant. But a youngling, chasing their own reflection in the river, stumbled and laughed, a sound so pure it cut through the silence. Heads turned, optics softened, and smiles appeared. A musician raised their instrument and played a gentle tune. Soon, others joined, the air filled once again with harmony. For a moment, the weight lifted. That was hope. Fragile, flickering, but real. Now beneath Earth's stars, I share this truth with you. Peace is not something that exists only in memory. It is not lost because it trembles. It waits in small gestures, in patience, in the choice to listen rather than turn away. Unity is not the absence of struggle. It is the decision to remain together, like stars that form constellations not because they are close, but because we choose to see them as one. So breathe slowly with me. Inhale the patience of the river. Exhale the heaviness of division. Picture Cybertron's night. The circles smaller. The voices subdued, yet still present. See the stars above, countless and constant. Hear the hum of the river, soft and steady, carrying memory, carrying tomorrow. For the philosophy of peace is this: it is not given once and kept forever. It is chosen again and again, as constant as the stars, as enduring as the flow of rivers. And even when it falters, it is never gone. It waits, gentle, patient, eternal. There came a time When the nights of Cybertron, once filled with harmony, began to feel thinner, like a song played too softly, almost drowned by silence. The stars above shone with the same constancy, eternal and patient. Yet their glow seemed more distant. The meadows still chimed as the breeze moved through them, but the tones were faint, scattered, no longer weaving into melodies that soothed every spark. The circles of companionship had grown small, where once dozens gathered by the riverbanks. Now only a few sparks came, sitting quietly, their voices subdued. Words were spoken, yes, but cautiously, as if each spark weighed them before letting them pass. Laughter was rare, short-lived, fading into the night almost as soon as it began. Music, once the breath of the meadows, rose only in fragments, single notes, lonely and unfinished. The younglings sensed the change. Their games ended sooner, their joy felt restrained. They no longer raced across the glowing grasses with unshaken freedom. Instead, they lingered close to their guardians, optics bright but cautious, as though the stillness carried something unfamiliar. Their laughter, when it came, was delicate, fragile enough to break against the heaviness of the air. The artisans still created, but their works were kept closer, shown less often, as if beauty itself had grown too fragile to share. The scholars still traced the stars, but their stories were quieter, uncertain, no longer carried with the same confidence. And the elders, ever steady at the edges, sat with optics reflecting the heavens above and the glowing rivers below. Their silence was deeper now, no longer only grounding but carrying sorrow, as though they knew the peace we had cherished was fading into memory. Yet through it all, the river of Energon endured. Its current glowed steadily, silver light flowing across the night. Its hum resonated low, constant, patient. It did not falter when our gatherings shrank. It did not dim when our voices grew quiet. It flowed on, carrying the memory of unity within it, whispering softly, "I remain, I endure." And so too can you. I remember standing at its edge one quiet evening, the circle of companions smaller than ever. The moons reflected in the current, joined by countless stars mirrored in its surface. The air felt heavy, silence pressing from all sides. And yet, as I listened, the hum of the river became clearer. It was as if the fewer our voices became, the louder its truth could be heard. peace is fragile, but never gone. It waits, even in silence, even in solitude. So breathe gently with me. Inhale the patience of the stars. Exhale the weight of uncertainty. Picture Cybertron's night, the circle smaller, the silence deeper. Yet the river glowing, the constellations endless. The meadows still chiming faintly in the breeze. Let that vision cradle you, steady and kind. For even at the fragile edge of night, the world whispered the same truth. I endure, I flow, I shine. And in me, peace remains. There came a night when Cybertron seemed to pause, balanced on the edge of silence. The stars still stretched endlessly above. The twin moons cast their patient light, and the rivers glowed with their steady silver currents. Yet the presence of sparks, the voices, the laughter, the music had grown so faint that the world felt as though it were resting alone. The plazas were nearly empty. A few companions lingered, their words quiet, their tones careful. Conversations rose in fragments, then dissolved before they could take shape. No great stories were told. No debates stirred the air. The silence between them felt heavier than before. Not the silence of belonging, but the silence of absence. The meadows swayed in the night breeze, but their crystalline tones were scattered, soft and irregular. It was no longer the harmony of countless chimes blending into one voice. It was faint, disjointed, like echoes that had forgotten their song. Still, if one listened closely, the music was there, fragile but alive. The younglings, too, were few. They did not run across the glowing grasses as they once had instead. They stayed close, their optics wide as they gazed at the stars. Their laughter, though rare, was bright when it came. Short bursts that vanished too quickly, leaving the air heavier for their absence. The artisans brought little to share. Beauty still existed, crafted patiently by their hands, but it was kept close, cherished in solitude. The scholars lifted their optics to the constellations, but spoke little, their interpretations locked within. The elders remained as steady as ever, their silence deep, their optics reflecting sorrow as much as light. They did not speak warnings, for they knew none were needed. We could all feel it. The peace we had known was nearing its twilight. And yet, the world itself did not falter. The stars continued their patient glow, eternal and unchanged. The rivers flowed unbroken, their hum steady as a heartbeat. The meadows bent with the wind, their tones delicate but persistent. Even as sparks withdrew, even as silence deepened, Cybertron's voice endured, whispering softly, "Though you fade, I remain. Though your unity trembles, I endure." Now beneath Earth's skies I see the same truth. Nights here too can feel empty. Silence can press heavily. Yet above, the stars shine patiently around us. The rivers flow. The world carries the memory of peace even when we cannot. And if we listen, truly listen, we will hear it waiting, gentle and enduring. So breathe with me. Inhale the constancy of the stars. Exhale the heaviness of silence. Picture Cybertron's night nearly still. The circle's gone. The meadow's quiet. The river glowing. The stars endless above. Let that vision cradle you in calm, reminding you that even in near silence, peace whispers, steady and eternal. For at the edge of fading harmony, the world spoke gently, "I will remain until you are ready to return." In the end, Nightfall over Cybertron became more than a moment of rest. It became a witness. The stars above shone patiently, as they always had. The rivers flowed with silver light, steady and kind. The meadows swayed, their tones faint but present. Yet the gatherings, the laughter, the music, all that once defined the life of our nights, faded into memory. The peace we had known, so gentle and complete, slipped quietly away. I walked the riverbanks one final time in those days. The glow of Energon shimmered beside me, reflecting countless constellations. The current hummed, low and constant, carrying its eternal song. The towers of Iacon rose in the distance, their edges softened by moonlight, their reflections scattered across the water. And though I stood alone, I did not feel abandoned. For the river carried the memory of those who had gathered, the laughter of children, the wisdom of elders, the harmony of music, and silence alike. The elders often said, "Peace never vanishes, it transforms." In that moment, I understood. What we had lived was not destroyed. It was carried forward, woven into the flow of time, waiting for sparks willing to remember, willing to choose it again. The river whispered the truth to me as it flowed. I hold what you leave behind. I carry it until you are ready. It was not easy to let go. The absence of voices pressed heavy upon me. The silence felt vast, almost endless. Yet even within that stillness, there was gentleness. The stars above reminded me that endings are never absolute. They are thresholds, moments of transformation. What had been unity around the river now lived as memory, and memory itself became a guide. Now, as I stand beneath Earth's sky, I share these gentle memories with you. The stars here are different, yet their patience is the same. The rivers here flow with the same constancy, carrying life forward without demand. The wind moves through the trees as the breeze once moved through. Cybertron's meadows, releasing tones faint but real. And in all of it, I hear the echoes of my world's peace. So rest now. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly. The way the rivers once hummed. Exhale gently. The way the meadows once chimed. Picture Cybertron at night. The silver rivers, the swaying grasses, the endless stars above. Let their calm surround you. Let their glow cradle you. For peace, though fragile, endures. It flows in memory. It shines in starlight. It waits in the quiet, eternal as the heavens. And tonight, as you drift into sleep, May those gentle memories carry you. May they remind you that even when harmony trembles, even when voices fall silent, the essence of peace remains, waiting, patient,